first and foremost, how excited are you about the process and about the fact that you get to continue your education and get to do something that you obviously really enjoy and do some esports at Boise State?
Yeah, I've been raving about this to my friends and family for like, ever since it really started about like 6 weeks ago when I realized that it could be like an actual possibility. And ever since then, like the excitement level has not dropped at all. Like I really cannot wait to, get started. I think, I visited Boise. It's such a nice place. I love being there. I can't wait to, be able to spend, every day there pretty much. So yeah, my excitement levels are basically through the roof.
Yeah, I can only imagine. I mean, look, there's probably, and you've probably heard a ton of them. There's a lot of stigmas around, playing competitive video games or whatever
Mhm.
it is. And I would say that there's a lot of guys in your position that would be super excited to get
Yeah,
college paid for and get to go play video games competitively.
yeah, for
So
sure.
I can only,
It's kind of like a dream.
yeah, I can only imagine how excited you must be about that opportunity. I guess we got to start maybe at the basics because I have a very general understanding of esports and
Mhm.
and competitive gaming here. So, I guess first and foremost, I was the information I got from your athletic director said you're ranked ninth nationally. How do you get to that point to where you've got a national ranking attached to your name
So,
in gaming?
so I was ranked ninth nationally for all seniors in high school.
I
Not
mean,
quite rank 9 like in the entire country, but
yeah,
still,
yeah.
still
But
an
still,
accomplishment
that's a
for
lot
sure.
of people. Holy
Yeah, yeah,
smokes.
for sure. And so my kind of backstory is I've been playing the one game that I play, League of Legends, since I was 9 years old in season 2, and it's season 11 now. So I've been playing for almost half my life pretty much. And then
Yeah.
I'll always kind of compare it to baseball. I started baseball when I was 6, and I still play to this day. So I've kind of been playing those two like the longest out of like anything that I've done really. I really can't remember like many days where I haven't been thinking about two things, baseball and, league. So it's just been like a really long process too.
Yeah. So, when it comes to that, obviously, if you've got a ranking attached to your name, you're doing this competitively.
Mhm.
You've got matches, like just like
Yep.
any other sport out there.
Mhm.
You are, there are designated. This is a counting ranking match, and this
Yep.
is goes towards your record, and all these other things. You're not just sitting down and saying, "Hey, Jimmy, down the block, my best friend since kindergarten. Let's play some League of Legends." You're in it competitively.
Yeah,
What's
I
that
am.
like? What's the competition aspect of this like? How do you get into these, and how often are you doing that stuff?
So I think the one of the coolest parts of League is the solo queue ranking mentality kind of. So I have been playing against professional league players that are getting paid hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars since I was 14 years old.
Wow.
Almost, very regularly. About
Hmm.
every game that I play will have somebody that's getting paid a lot of money to play the game. And it's kind of a surreal experience, especially the first times that I was playing with like pros that I would recognize. And I was like, whoa, this is big time, And it was a little nerve-wracking. I've definitely gotten better about it. And, like I probably play, so I have like different like kind of, I play to practice mainly. So I'll
Hmm.
be practicing a lot. And it's kind of just like, yesterday I played 4 games or whatever. And I would consider that, 4 hours of 4 games, it's like equivalent to like baseball practice for me
Yeah.
personally. And it's just like that type of practice mentality. And I've kind of been going with that mentality for like the last 3 years. And I've definitely seen a change in growth for sure. Because I kind of went from, I was okay. And I knew that like I might have something, but ever since I kind of started that improvement mentality, I started seeing myself in pro games more, started seeing myself beating pros and stuff like that. So
Do you remember your first match against a pro?
I do, I
Like
do,
probably your first big match. Can you
I
tell me
do.
about that?
I remember it exactly. I was playing against Biofrost, who is the TSM support, not anymore, but he was at the time. TSM is one of the biggest orgs in North America, multi-million dollar company with multiple different games. And I was playing against him, and I remember I beat him. It was just and we played the same position too. And it's like League is a lot like basketball where there's 5 different positions. So I was kind of playing directly against him, and I remember beating him, and that's when the like mindset kind of shifted in my brain. I was like, this could be something important. And it's funny, I still have the screenshot on my phone from when I was 14 years old playing against him, and I was so excited. I couldn't stop telling my friends and everything like that. So.
How many of your friends play it?
So in real life,
yeah,
I was introduced to the game by my real life friends in 4th grade. Ever since then, not many people that I have talked to have played it. I've talked to some, random acquaintances that have, but not a lot of my friends in real life. I have a lot of online friends that I've met playing the game. So obviously they all play.
So talking with Brett Narkiewicz here about signing with Boise State to continue his education for one, but also for esports, which is it's a massive growing industry in everything. And, it really got onto my radar when I started to see that the NBA 2K has a league where they've got professionals that are, like you said, getting paid thousands of dollars to do it. They've got a draft, they make trades, they acquire players, all these kind of things. And the Blazers have a team. I really started to kind of perk up when I saw that. UCC has added an esports team for their offerings out there as well. And I've really started to understand that this is something that's not just a fad or going to be around. When it comes to college esports programs, I mean, I come from a background where I remember getting our first Nintendo system when I was a kid at Christmas, but I played video games as just something to do for fun and never competitively. But I'm aware of video games. I understand it. I still play them from time to time, but I've definitely got a base in traditional sports, like you said, baseball and whatnot. So when it comes to college esports, what's that like? What are competitions like? How big is it? How many different programs are there? How big is the program at Boise State?
Okay, so college league is actually growing so rapidly, even in like the last 2 years. If you asked me this 2 years ago, I would have a completely different answer, but it is growing so rapidly right now. And, basically every college is going to have essentially 3 main games that almost they all play: Overwatch, League. What is the last one? Not Valorant. There's one more that I can't quite put my finger on. I just completely blanked on it.
No worries. Happens to me all the time.
But no, it's great. And Boise State is, if I had to compare it to like a football school, it would be like in Alabama, Oregon, that type of program where they have been consistently winning the Mountain West for a while now. They've gone to the Collegiate League Championships multiple times in the last years, and they just consistently have high-ranking players on their team, which is kind of the one thing you can always look at to determine a program's strength.
And keep going. Yeah.
So
it's interesting.
There is also like a international collegiate league championship. So last year's winner of the North American League Championship was Maryville University, who has been the top dog of the entire collegiate scene for like a long time now. They have a really strong program there, and they actually got to go to China to play against multiple different international college teams from Russia, Japan, China, Korea, a lot from Korea. So
dang. So you bring up there's a conference for Boise State. So when you get there and get into this program there with Boise State, what are you mainly competing against schools in what is a traditional Mountain West, or how big is the competition? Are you doing nationally? Is it get internationally for some of these competitions?
So there's 2 different types of this kind of amateur league, where there's collegiate and there's amateur. Boise State is both. So not only do we get to participate in the Mountain West Conference, which is literally just exact same teams as football, basketball, every single sport. It's just the exact same conference. And not only do we get to do that, but we get to play in the collegiate league playoffs if we qualify, which is, the best of the best from around the nation. It's like the college football playoff. Or like March Madness, kind of, probably more like that, because it's a little bit. And but not only do we get to compete against all those schools, we get to compete against a lot of amateur teams too, which players like aren't necessarily in college. A lot of them are, but these amateur teams are extremely high ranking compared to some collegiate schools. Some collegiate schools are just kind of more they don't have super high ranks. They're just kind of, but they're obviously like starting up their programs, which has kind of been the big thing for the last 2 years. So,
Hmm.
so that opportunity is like really nice for us to get to do both, because we kind of get the best of both worlds that way.
Talking with Brett Narkiewicz here, just signing with Boise State for esports, which is going to be something we're all going to be adjusting to, learning more about. And what I'm interested about as well is the recruiting process with this. Talking with your athletic director out there at Glide, finding out that your coaches for Boise State are planning to be here when you
Mhm.
officially put pen to paper.
Yep.
You're getting scholarship money here that's going to help take care of a lot of the costs of your education at Boise State, which are all things that, we expect out of top Division I. University of Oregon sends coaches to go sign 5-star football recruits and all these things. These are the things what we're used to there.
Yep.
And you're seeing that kind of same stuff here with the esports program. What was recruiting like in this whole process? Did you have to reach out and start the conversation? Were schools looking at you? How many schools were considering trying to get you in and be a part of their program?
So I would say that I lucked out big time. There is this event called Intel Inspires, which is a Intel ran event that is solely for the purpose of connecting players like me to colleges, basically. So I remember before that, for the last 2 years or so, I had been emailing back and forth with some colleges, mainly just Pac-12 colleges like around us, and I was like, hey, I do this, blah 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 blah. I'm this rank, blah 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 blah. If you want to try to, I'd love to come and play for you guys. And that's kind of been it. And it was dry like that for a while. And then I went to this event and I signed up, and I woke up the next day and I had 40 scheduled meetings with colleges from around the world, or not around the world, but around the US. So,
wow.
and like the offers they were like really strong offers from a lot of places.
So, Boise State obviously is a program that's close enough to home
Yeah.
and whatnot, but and also sounds like a program that has had success in esports, and
Yeah, for sure.
which obviously is going to be enticing in that if you're going to a program that's competitive and playing for championships, that's always a big draw. But what did it come down to? A few different schools for you that you were trying to decide on where you wanted to
It did
officially
for
sign
sure.
with?
So I kind of lumped my offers into two different categories: is the offers with a lot of scholarship money and the offers without. So I would say that I had about 5 or 6 like super serious offers with a lot of benefits that I was kind of mulling over. So it is kind of weird though, because you think of like the traditional big football schools and they're all D1. There's a lot of big esports schools that are not necessarily D1 schools, but they're all very talented, and essentially they got into the programs very early, and now they are reaping the benefits of it with like full-time coaches and everything like that. So like one that I talk about is Hawkeye Community College in Iowa, which probably nobody from Oregon has ever heard of. It's not a big school at all, but they have a very tip-top league team there, and they have for the last year and a half. So they had offered me, and that was like one of my most serious offers for sure. And I was in a unique situation where, if you're recruiting a basketball player for say, it's kind of tough to see like, who am I going to be playing with? What's it going to be like? It's awesome for video games because I have been able to play with multiple college teams already, just like testing the waters.
Yeah.
So that was a great experience, and it's definitely an advantage of this type of stuff.
It's really interesting to find out how all this has gone on. One of the reasons we've been doing these Umpqua Preps Senior Spotlights to talk with student athletes that in the traditional sports have really had a lot taken away from them because of the pandemic going on right now. With esports being a virtual based thing, you probably haven't seen a slowdown. In fact, you've probably increased, I would imagine, when it comes to this. So, how is the whole pandemic and the fact that you haven't been in classrooms for a long time, maybe just starting to get back in, but the whole pandemic and everything going on there, how has that affected you as a senior this year in high school?
So, as you know, I think we talked about it kind of before we started, where I played Docs last year. So I've obviously been playing baseball for my entire life. I was very serious about it for a long time. And I play soccer too. So potentially losing my senior seasons of that is not looking too great. I would definitely prefer prefer to have those. But obviously losing my junior season of baseball, spring season of baseball, was kind of a damper on my, mentality. But I mean, that's the way life goes, And then obviously I got a great opportunity to play for Docs this summer, which was a huge lift up kind of for me, because it was, the pandemic was tough on everybody. It's kind of hard to remember reality before then almost, so that Docs summer season that we managed to put together for like 11 or 12 games or until July 4th was really good for me. I think it kind of reminded me that, there's still stuff to look forward to for that type of stuff. So
when it comes to traditional sports, mentioning, I remembered you from Docs, and obviously you do soccer as well. We're hopeful. That's kind of our whole premise behind these interviews, is getting to talk to student athletes to get us back in that mindset, because it's been so long since we've covered high school sports here in the Umpqua Basin. But we're hopeful that high school sports get a chance to return here in the coming months and get a chance to see some of these class of 21 seniors to do the sports that you guys have devoted your entire lives to so far. Obviously, it sounds though like you still plan on trying to do some of the traditional sports that you've been doing throughout your entire youth. You plan on trying to compete in those at Glide if you get the opportunity to do so?
I'm still kind of mulling it over with my family, considering now that there's a lot of other things riding on, stuff like injuries. You always have to think about stuff like that with, like, probably not a great look to break your arm before going to go play video games at college. So we're still mulling it over for sure, though. And obviously, I think if I had to choose right now, I mean, my brain would say 100% yes. Like, I don't think any senior would want their last kind of potential sport like that to be, chosen not to play by said senior. So,
do you find that many guys in the esports world are athletes like yourself from a traditional sport, or are they? You find that many of them are guys that or girls, not using guys generally there, but that are esports competitors that never ever took part in traditional sports.
So I think more and more we're seeing more type of players like me who have kind of grown up with sports, and because I think that having a mentality from playing sports, like I basically devoted kind of, multiple hours a day to improving at baseball for the last 10 years. It definitely helps someone like me kind of realize what it takes to be at the top level for a video game. And I definitely think if I didn't play sports personally, I would have never been a top level video game player, just because it's like that type of mentality really, really helps. And it's something you can really only learn from competitive endeavors like that. But for the most part, I see there's definitely some people that grew up with traditional sports, whether it be, just playing high school sports for fun, or definitely a lot of that. But I'm not entirely sure quite yet. I haven't met a ton of people, but I think for sure in like a year, I'll be able to say that, there is quite a few people that play sports in esports. So.
Well, and you see it with professional athletes, playing Madden or, playing NBA 2K or all these other sports video games. You get a lot of professional athletes that's what they do with their downtime when they are on the road and traveling between games or whatever it may be. Practice, you've brought it up a couple of times about how you got to spend time, you've got the mentality of an athlete and spending time practicing and getting better at your craft, which when it comes to video games, my goal is just to complete the game and not be the worst. But there's definitely an athletic mentality to it, to where you're trying to get better at it and you're not just playing the game just for fun. What is a practice session for you like? How many days out of the week are you doing practice? How many hours do you do it? Are you taking notes? Are you, what is practice for video games like for you?
So my days can change depending on my mood and like if I have classes and stuff. So like recently it's been the end of semester for me, so I've been doing a lot of schoolwork, but like I'm playing pretty much every day of the week, pretty much about. And, it kind of, like I said, it has a really unique practice formula where 10 players drop into one game and just kind of, that's the practice. So that type of practice is really nice for a player like me, because like I said, I get to play against the tip top competition in North America, you know, like the people that are extremely, extremely serious about it, like to the point where this is their career pretty much, and they're locked into it. So that practice mentality is really cool. I kind of compare it to like, you know, if I went to a pickup baseball game and had to hit against like Clayton Kershaw or somebody like that,
Yeah.
or like some Oregon pitcher like that. So, and then not only that, but I do a lot of analysis on my games to try to weed out mistakes. You know, I think I know like it's big in football, you know, a lot of teams watching film. It's the same concept, same exact thing. And then along with that, I just do like a lot of solo practice, just like if I had to compare it to something like shooting around at like a basketball hoop, you know, just shooting threes, shooting free throws. It's kind of the same concept almost. So
Wow. It's, you know, I mean, the similarities obviously are a lot there. It is still a competition, and you are still trying to be the best at what you're doing. So yeah, definitely a lot of similarities there. As we start wrapping, I could probably go an entire hour with you talking about this, because I'm obviously so naive and basic on my understanding of what exactly esports is and how big it's growing. But on that topic, you know, you mentioned, it just sounds like even 2 years ago, what you're doing right now was almost unheard of. And it was not, you know, in a 2-year period, it just completely changed. What do you think the future is of, I mean, that's maybe a really broad and big topic to say there, but let's just maybe focus on the college sports. You know, Boise State is a 4-year school. I would imagine you're going there with the expectations that for 4 years you'll be an esports competitor for the Boise State Broncos, and you'll get a degree when you're done. But over a 4-year period, what do you think might be the future for esports at the college level like that?
So I would really like to see, so there's kind of two different programs in collegiate esports. There is faculty led, not school faculty necessarily, but like, you know, coach led, I'd have to say, with recruiting, you know, stuff like that, you know, legitimate kind of, it functions exactly like a collegiate sport, like baseball, football, volleyball, whatever. And then there's the student led teams, which is kind of a little more basic. You know, they
kind of like a club sport almost, kind of a thing.
Exactly. Like kind of, you know how they have club sports for like baseball and stuff like that. It's something like that. I would definitely like to see more and more faculty led programs, because I think that that's just good for the competition in general. And another thing is just seeing, I think one thing that I'm really excited about, you know, I am going to do my signing day soon. I'm really excited to kind of show people that this is a possibility for the future for them, you know, because I think if you told me 3 years ago, hey, you're going to be playing, you know, a video game for college, I'd be like, no, you're crazy. So I really want to be able to show, you know, youth around me that this is a possibility. You know, I have a little brother. He plays video games. I'm really excited to just that he knows that this is a possibility for the future.
You know, as a guy that's, I guess, you know, and I don't mean to separate it, and I'm sure you deal with this a lot, and people thinking that it's, you know, it's not a real sport or anything like that. And I understand that the work that you guys put into all of this, and so I don't mean to belittle it or anything like that. And so I hope it doesn't come across that way. But you're a guy that's lived in both worlds. You've been a traditional athlete in baseball and softball, and not softball, sorry, excuse me, soccer. And you spent a lot of time and effort getting better at that. Obviously, making the Docs roster over the summer is a huge accomplishment. Those are the best of the best here in our own backyard. So you're obviously a talented athlete in the traditional sports as well. Do you see that this, as you mentioned, kind of the future of maybe your little brother getting a chance to do something like this? Do you see more and more teenagers or youth going from traditional sports to esports, and that I mean, it's all obviously becoming big, but that becoming more of a thing where there is a future, and so more athletes or more competitors go into that rather than going into traditional sports that we see?
Yeah, I think that could definitely potentially happen. Obviously, traditional sports, you know, they have my heart from day one since I was born, pretty much. And obviously, they're always going to be a huge thing. And I don't think necessarily that traditional sports would lose players to like collegiate esports, but I think that just in general, there would be there's going to be just more people in collegiate, not just esports, but sports in general because of this, you know, and there's going to be more opportunities for people. And that's kind of what it's all about, you know?
Yeah. Got just a couple more questions for you. I'm probably going to run out of my Zoom time. I only got the free edition here. So, got to make this, got to keep moving on my questions, but I could keep going. Like I said, the future, obviously you're got a big moment coming up, and I'm sure you're focused on, what the future of next year is going to hold for you at Boise State. But, you've mentioned how there are professionals out there that make really good money doing this. What would be your goal for your time at Boise State? Is the hope to try and turn this into a career? Is the hope to just have a good time, get an education that is mostly paid for, and be able to get a degree that you can put to use? What's kind of your goal to get out of this at the college level?
So I think that getting a professional opportunity would be that's just the thing that I'd love to do. I've been a competitive person since I was born, pretty much. Like I said, we've kind of talked about it a lot, but playing sports, it's kind of ingrained in me. So obviously, for just like a kind of lofty goal, I would love to go like the professional route. But not only that, there's a lot of positions in esports that are kind of looking for players to fill them, like coaches, advisors, stuff like that, or just like people behind the scenes. And obviously, I think that would be a great thing for me. I'd love to work in that kind of sense. And then obviously just getting a college degree, especially from a university like Boise State, is such a huge thing for anybody, so I'm just really grateful for that opportunity.
Wrapping things up here with you, a couple of rapid fire questions. What do you have a major in mind for your time at Boise State there?
So I am majoring in computer science. I have kind of lived my entire life around computers. I think it's going to be a very common major in esports.
I could see that. Yeah.
So
yeah. What is, you've mentioned League of Legends. Is that it sounds like is your expertise? Do you do competitive gaming in any other games?
So I play kind of other games for fun. I play kind of all the big esports titles, Rocket League, Overwatch, just for fun. I'm not exactly super serious about them.
Yeah.
But, I still have put time into them before, and they're definitely great games, but obviously it's kind of like, that one athlete in high school who is the star football player and plays wrestling and baseball for fun,
Yeah.
It's kind of the same concept.
We all know what he's going to be doing when he gets his college scholarship, but he does these other ones because he's just, that's just what it's there. You just want to compete.
Yeah.
Favorite console? What do you play on?
So I built a computer for myself when I was 15, something like that. So I have not used a console for a while. If I had to say a favorite console, it'd definitely be, I used to have a PS3. It was kind of sucking away my childhood, but ever since I kind of built that computer, I've just been staying on there. So
the PC based stuff there. Yeah. Gotcha. And then I guess this question just popped in my head, but you obviously have kind of a game that you play. Does Boise State, is it focused on the one game? Do they have guys that have expertise in the other games? I think you probably might have mentioned it before, that there's kind of three big games that it seems like they do competitively.
So Boise State plays, like I said, the big trio, and I just remembered the last one. I forgot it earlier, but the big trio is League, Overwatch, and Rocket League.
Gotcha.
So they play all three of those games, and they have kind of club-sponsored sports for the other ones. They'd kind of be considered junior varsity games like Valorant and Rainbow Six Siege and stuff like that. But I definitely, Boise State has very strong Rocket League and Overwatch teams, for sure.
Gotcha.
Like top collegiate level.
Gotcha.
So.
Well, Brett, it's been absolutely informative. This has been really cool to find out more about how this is all gone for you out there, and really appreciate all the information, man. It's and it's cool to hear the story. One last question I did want to ask you here. Do you remember, so you remember the first matchup, your first big one that you did? What's the biggest match you've ever played in?
So there's a lot of streamed games with a lot of viewers. I've played in games of 500,000 viewers, stuff like that, and they're not necessarily, the stakes aren't very high. They're just games with very popular streamers and stuff like that. So I'd say that those are probably the biggest games that I've played in terms of just competition wise. I've played, like I said, I got to play with Boise State over the last week, and I've got to play with other colleges. So stuff like that is kind of high competition levels. And just in general, I've played a lot of games with a lot of pro players who
Yeah.
are very, very impressive, and just kind of that competition level is very impressive to play in. So,
All right. Last question for you here. I'll let you get back to your day and get going here. But you know, we've mentioned the financial aspect of it all. You're still young. You're going to college here soon. Have you won any prize money out of any of the stuff that you've done so far in your time?
I have won prize money, and I have gotten paid for coaching. Those are my kind of two.
Wow.
So I have gotten money from that type of stuff.
For
So
the prize money, what was it?
so my team won $500 in kind of this just random tournament.
Yeah.
So it was split 5 ways, so it was
Gotcha.
$100. And then just coaching rates, I've coached some people over the years for, stuff like 30 to 40 to $50 an hour. So
It's cool stuff, man. Obviously it's growing, and it's cool to see that you're getting an opportunity to be right there in the thick of it all. And
yeah,
so,
there's huge money in esports right now.
oh,
So
I can imagine. Yeah, it's
recently
really
the biggest transfer of Western League happened this season, and it was an $11 million transfer. So that
pretty
money's
crazy.
there.
Yeah. Well, good luck, man. Looking forward to it. We're hoping to be able to get the chance to come out and at least see the whole signing ceremony that you guys are going to have going on out at Glide as Brett gets ready to sign with Boise State for esports, man. Congratulations on all the hard work that is paying off for you here at this point in your life. And hopefully we get a chance to see you in a couple of traditional sports at Glide High School before things wrap up here in 2021. But best of luck to you, man, in the future.
Thank you so much.